Selling your parents' home after they have passed, or maybe they are incapacitated, maybe they have dementia, maybe they're in a home, and you as the children are put in place of having to sell this home can be very, very difficult. And the reason it's so difficult is because there are so many emotions tied into this. It's not your primary residence. Maybe you grew up there and you've got a lot of emotional ties with it, but maybe you don't know a lot of things going on in how to sell their specific home. You haven't been living it. You haven't fixed up. You don't know. Now, this video is going to talk about the top mistakes that you might make if you are selling your parents' home. Now, we get a lot of viewers who actually are the parents who know that their children are going to have to sell their home at some point in the future. So I want to make sure that you're also watching this because, as I said, selling a parent's home is one of the most difficult homes that I sell. So the first thing I'm going to tell you, the first mistake that you might make, that you might not have in place, is there has to be one singular point person. And this person has to be able to be in charge of making the decisions for the home. And usually what it is the children are not in the same town. And so they are putting their own ideas and their own thoughts into what should be going into selling the home in the town that maybe they grew up in. They have different ideas of real estate. The market may be better in their area. The agents may be better. They may be worse. They may not know what the market is. A child that doesn't know what the market is doing can be very, very difficult. And so you really need to make sure that there is one singular person in charge. Usually this is going to be the trustee of the estate who the parents have selected. Now, if you're a parent and you're thinking about who are you going to select, you really need to think about who really is the least emotional, who can make the decisions that could be tough, that might not be based on the financial outcome of it. What is the best for the family is really who you want to look at being in charge of this. But that's the very first thing I'm going to say is one person has to be in charge and making the decisions. And the other siblings really do need to understand that and respect that and agree with it. Now, that does not mean that one person makes all the absolute decisions about everything. It means that that is the final person. So there can be conversations about how do we get the house ready? What do we do? Who should we hire? Things like that. But that one person is going to be the final decision maker, just like a parent would be for a child. And unfortunately, this puts kind of a weird dynamic into it. But you have to have one singular point person who's going to be in charge and make those final decisions. Another mistake that I see is that many people are really ignoring the emotional impact, or maybe it's affecting them too much. So you have to really assess the emotions coming into play, because this may be the home that you grew up in. It may be the home that you love with all your heart, and you may have kind of rose-colored glasses about what the house actually needs in order to sell. You also have to realize that many times what will happen is that the kids think the home is worth way more than it's worth because they're so emotionally tied into it. So I really want you to take a look at the emotional impact that it's having on you and how you're going to be able to make decisions that are financially based, that are in the best interest of the whole family. My next mistake is that you're rushing the process. Maybe you're going too fast. Maybe your parents just died, or one is going into a home, or you're just not quite sure exactly what you need to do. And you're like, we just have to get this done. We have to get it done. That can be really difficult also on your emotional progress, because you may think that you are okay, but I have seen it so many times where people think they're okay, and then they're making all these decisions and they're going really fast, and then they just completely kind of lose it at the end, and they really can't let go of the house. And then that causes a lot of trauma because the decisions that they're making are not based in, I hate to say this, in being a business, because the goal of selling the house is truly a financial decision. Like, that is your goal, is to make this a financial decision for you. It's not emotional. And so if you have not dealt with the emotions of a parent's passing, or many times I've seen it, parents who might have dementia or Alzheimer's who are no longer capable. Now the parents are still alive and they're not quite sure what they need to do. I say, take a step back. Just take a step back and wait for it kind of to come to you where you can be in a place where you say, I'm really emotional, but I know now I can make these financial decisions that are going to be best for the family. So one of the mistakes that I see is not preparing the home for sale. I want you as the children to go into the house and look around and see what's broken. First of all, I don't want you spending much money at all right out of the gate. I want you to go in, see what's broken, and that is the first thing you need to do. You need to fix the deferred maintenance. You do not need to worry about the kitchen or the bathrooms or the colors of the walls or anything like that, because there is a good chance that the home probably needs some work. There's a good chance the home is dated. There's a good chance there is some deferred maintenance. So what I don't want you doing is spending a ton of money in the home right now, I want you to focus on fixing the things that are actually broken. Now, you guys know I have my seller's playbook. I want to make sure you download this. This is a 40-page free ebook, and it's going to show you everything that you should do to get the home ready for sale. Now, I want you to do the quiz in there that's going to show you the category that the home is in. This is really, really important because once you figure out the category that your home is in, I have an actual percentage that you should put into getting the home ready to sell. So make sure you download that seller's playbook. I just have a lot of information in there and a lot of free resources in there as well for you. So go ahead and make sure you do that. So that ties into my next big mistake, people who start too early without bringing a real estate agent in. Now, you guys know I always talk about real estate agents because a lot of people think, they're kind of a necessary evil. Well, in this situation, if you have the right agent, that agent is going to be your true partner in helping you decide what to fix, what not to fix, should you update, should you not update. I recently had a home just like this, and the home was dated. There were a lot of things that the children could have said, we need to update the kitchen, we need to update the bathroom, we need to replace the carpet, we need to refinish the floors, we need to paint the house. And the reality is I got in there really early enough to say, you know what, I don't want you putting any money into this house because there was too much that needed to be done for them to put out of pocket, to redo the kitchen, to redo the bathroom, to paint the whole house. I mean, you're talking a good $100,000. Now, what I did was I was able to look at the outcome of if they actually put that money into the house, what would happen? Would they get that out when they sold? And that's because they started early in understanding what did they really need to spend in order to get the home ready. Now, an agent who's not super experienced might lead you down the wrong path. This is why it is so imperative that you make sure you get an agent who has experience in transactions, number of transactions, so that they can guide you. I've done so many transactions and I learned something new on every single deal. And that is the only way an agent can guide you towards the best answer, is because they've had that experience. So this is where you really need to start the process over, because your parents may have used a real estate agent to buy that property many, many years ago, and you're thinking, I'm just going to call that agent. But you really need to start your search fresh. Now, finding a trusted agent can be really, really hard, and you may not know where to start. Of course, you can start with referrals, that's fine, but I really want you to do your due diligence and interview a couple of agents. Now, when we're looking at referring agents out, we're really looking at the number of transactions that they've done. So we really are looking for somebody who's done 30 to 50 transactions in the last year. Now, if their price point is higher, that number may be a little lower. So when we're looking to refer agents out, I'd say we're looking at about 150 homes in the last 5 years. If somebody has only sold 20 or 30 homes, I really don't feel that they can give the guidance and the expertise that they need to in this situation. And the guidance and the expertise here is don't put money into the home until you really, really know if you're going to get it out. Now, I am always open to helping you. You send me notes and emails and texts and everything, and you're in our Facebook group. I'm always willing to help you with that, to kind of give you that guidance. And if you're in the Chicagoland area or the Northeast Florida area, I can definitely help you, as I am licensed and I can take your listing. However, if you're not in those areas, I have the resources for you. Just go ahead, scan the QR code, fill out the form below, and I'm going to make sure that we get you a couple of great agents in your area. Because we've been doing this since the beginning of the year, we've referred out over 600 sellers to agents across the country. We really, really know what makes a great agent and what makes not a great agent. There is no fee due to you. I do get a percentage of the closed listing from that agent. Now, once again, I've said this before, I want you to hear me on this, is that if we refer you to an agent and that agent comes in and says they have to increase their commission price because of our referral, that's not the agent that you should go with. And the reason why is because we do not want this cost to be passed along to you. That is not our goal here. It should come out of the agent's cut of the commission. And that's typically how it normally works. If you are okay with that, you feel good about that, go ahead and we will personally work on this for you so I can find you a great agent in your area, because I'm telling you, nothing makes me feel worse than hearing an agent who's given bad directions and taken people down a path where they are tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars in the hole because of the advice that the agent made. So please, please get that help early. Now, this one is a big deal. and I talk about this all the time as well, is that overpricing your home is going to be the worst thing you can do, especially if you've put in too much money. Now, remember, your job as the children is to get the most amount of money for the home. I know it's emotional for you, but that is your job, especially if you have been installed as the trustee. That is your fiduciary duty, to get the most money for the home. So if you haven't watched my videos before, I really recommend that you go back and you watch this one video that I did about why your home doesn't sell. Now, I'll tell you right now, it's because your price is too high. But if you're on the market, I want you to think about this. If you're on the market in 6 months from now, in a year from now, are you okay with that? What does that stress look like? What does the financial carry look like? So you have to make sure that you understand what price that home needs to be. And just because you are living in Texas and you think the market there is great, it might not be great, especially like back in Chicago. You don't know that market. So it's really, really important to make sure that you understand what that price should be. Do not overprice it. Huge mistake. So one of the next mistakes is not understanding your local market. This ties in to the pricing, to the agent selection, things like that. If you don't know the local market, it's going to be very hard for you to make a decision, especially if you're a trustee and not really understanding the local market. And that's why you need a great partner in that, is to really look at what are the comps, what are the homes down the street doing, what are the homes that are updated look like, what are the homes that are not updated look like. Again, you have to be very, very unemotional when you come into this process, and you really have to make sure you understand that local market. So I know I've given you some points here, but they're very basic points that you might have already known, but I can't underestimate the significance and the importance of making sure that you stay unemotional in this process. It will hurt you financially and emotionally in the long run if you can't figure out how to kind of pull your emotions together and make sure that you are acting as a fiduciary for your parents' home. So I said it before, I want to make sure that you are watching this one video that I talked about earlier. It is the reason that your home is not selling. I cannot stress to you the significance of overpricing your home. I've got 20 reasons in there why you think the home may be selling. And as a child of a parent who's walking into a dated home, you're going to tell me it's because their kitchen isn't updated. That's not it. I want you to go through, I want you to watch this next video and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss anything else that I'm coming out with.